What's happening now is the result of what's been building for some time. The fighting in Portland has reached an all-time high as the nation watches. There's more violence happening in Portland than in other cities. Why is that? Is it the disincarnate spirits from Portland's past haunting the current inhabitants? Is it the local issues? Cost of rent? Is it really Donald Trump? And see, what I see are two political gangs with their token minorities. I see the police standing down over and over and over again. Okay. Assault is against the law. For political purposes or perhaps something else, are they simply of the mindset that they are unable to manage the situation? Police stood down while person after person was punched in the face. Of course, you had a number of people that were willing to duke it out with each other, but do the police stand by if it's a bar? What if there's a serious situation? Somebody may need to defend themselves. Oftentimes, people get thrown in the slammer. But you look at the situation in Portland, Oregon, and you see what has become normal. And then you see the people that are spectating. They're watching with interest. The men and women, the women and the men, with the bloodlust. They want to see. They want to see what's going to happen next. The big fight down at the waterfront, the Royal Rumble. People with their bats, their helmets, their goggles, their batons, their brass knuckles, their little black gloves. Wonder what's under some of those gloves. We see the tactics being used by Antifa, right? One guy having to fight three guys at once. We see some martial arts, attempted jiu-jitsu moves and holds, people going to the ground, people being choked, people being punched on the ground, people being kicked on the ground. And I've seen most of this dirty fighting from Antifa. I've also seen on the other side. You're going to have wild cards on both sides. You can't judge either group entirely for the actions of a few. And you hear a lot of this, your group this, and back and forth like children. Do you see anyone with a megaphone at all bullhorning both crowds about the geopolitical realities, the economic realities, the social injustice realities coming from the government that affects everybody, regardless of your race, regardless of your nationality? Do you see other minorities there? We see Tiny, celebrity strongman for the Trump support base. Historically, Samoans have been used as bouncers and strongmen and in other industries. Sometimes I wonder if there's uh, some funding for some of these groups, but what there is attention. And people like this type of coverage. And some people have gotten involved in doing this full time, making a living full time on YouTube, filming what's going on in Portland. Perhaps not so much with the recent issues with the ads, but you see individuals that are getting their first taste of the limelight, whether it be having a post at Infowars.com or an interview at Infowars.com, right? All of a sudden, they're in the scene and they're putting forth a message, and it's a message that other people like to see and hear. And it is important to cover what's going on with these protests, right? But there's also a sick nature behind it as people get in their gang mindset and call the other group either wholesale Nazis or, on the part of Antifa, being called a terrorist organization. And in some cases, though, don't they look like one? But if someone joins a protest movement and it's under the umbrella of Antifa, then is everybody a terrorist? What about the other Portland activist groups? Where have they gone? Now, I want to let the audience know this is not normal behavior for Portland, Oregon. Portland historically has seen a lot of protests. I think this more or less validates some of the things that I've been saying about Portland being more affected by the intense energies going on the planet than other places. Not just the solar flares, but on that note, we just saw increase in geomagnetic storm activity over the course of more than a day combined with this full moon. So you have a place like Portland, there are others on the planet as well. But for some reason, I was born there. I came to some of my early ideas there. I left, went off the grid, came back, left again, and swore to never come back again. If I was in Portland now, I would be heavily affected by the anger, the emotion, and the energies there. And I could see that writing on the wall, like nails on a chalkboard. And that's conflict that I don't want. I saw really bad signs the last time I was there, some exchanges with others, stayed away from even covering the Black Lives Matter protests. And I was just simply in survival mode and in goal mode to escape Portland, Oregon, the movie that's never been made, but probably should. So these people are being affected by a wave of negative energy. Regardless of reviews on spirituality, I'm going to share my truth on this platform. Um, but I don't want to digress into side topics. But when you have a mob consciousness on both sides and they're showing up because there's going to be violence, because there was violence last time, and the time before, and the time before, and the time before, and they're not talking about issues. And you have spectators, like it's some sort of, foreplay before people go home and screw each other's brains out. Watch a little fighting down at the waterfront. Got to remember, a lot of men were kidnapped and lost their lives in that waterfront when they built Portland. And there the humans are fighting in that same Old Town, Chinatown district, walking up and down the waterfront, or 82nd for that matter. Kind of bizarre stuff. So just wanted to add some commentary to this. Well, we haven't seen things like this 4 years ago or 8 years ago. So where's it going to be in 4 years? With Portland being more affected than the rest of the nation by some of the celestial factors and apparently propaganda and other things, emotion run awry. I think during the solar maximum, the next cycle of the sun that we're going to be going into after this solar minimum is going to bring out another chapter of insane Portland stories. And you can quote me on that. For now, I will pause my thoughts and come back with more. Thank you for watching.